people, welcome or welcome back to Well with Mika, where we talk real wellness for your real life. I'm Mika, your cultural wellness ally, and today we're digging into something that gets a little heated sometimes, and that's alcohol. All right, you probably heard all the mixed messaging. On the one hand, you have people saying red wine is good for your heart. On another side, saying alcohol is poison. And then you got some that's like, yo, my grandmother, she lived to like 100 and she had a glass of whiskey every night. So what's the truth? All right, we're going to get into it. We're not going to guilt you. I ain't going to throw in a bunch of fear. We're just going to really look at it honestly and curiously, okay? Because we want to know how to approach this whole alcohol situation. So since about 2022, right, there have been a lot of studies, major studies, that have shown what seem to be pretty clear evidence that no amount of alcohol is truly quote unquote safe from a health standpoint, right? So the risks we know about include increased chances of cancer, especially breast cancer, liver disease, high blood pressure, and mental health concerns. And now, even small amounts can mess with your sleep, your mood, and your gut health. Now, they say, I know some people will say, oh, I need a little drink just to let me calm down and get to sleep. But they're saying that, yes, you might fall asleep faster, but that sleep is not really restful. It's not as deep as if you didn't have it. So that's what the science is saying. Don't shoot me, it's not me. I'm just telling you what the science is saying. And it's getting clearer, but it often clashes with our personal experiences and our traditions, our cultural traditions and the science, they ain't matching up, so we got to dig a little deeper. I was listening to a medical doctor, Dr. Sunil Dan, and he was talking about in his practice, I believe he works in, I don't know if it's in the emergency room, but I know he works in a hospital, right? So you should check out his YouTube channel, it's very good. But he was talking about the fact that he sees a lot of older patients, and when he questions them about what's their secret, a lot of them say that they swear by a nightly or daily cocktail. So it's like, hold on, the science is saying that alcohol of any amount is bad, or at least not great from a health standpoint. But yet I'm seeing these people, yes, they're in the hospital for one thing, but considering their age, they look amazing, they're cognitively sharp. Like, what is happening here, right? So I think there are a few things at play that we cannot ignore, right? Number one is genetics. Now, I know a lot of the conversation says you can't just lean on genetics. You can do things to, impact your health that's not genetically based, which is true. But for some things, we cannot ignore the genetics, right? Some people just metabolize alcohol more efficiently, or they have some protective factors that we don't fully understand yet. Because let's be clear, no one fully understands the human body and all of its mechanisms. So that's one factor. Then there's the environment. These folks often have low stress, strong social connections, nutrient rich diets, and they stay physically active. And then another thing is that what we have to look at are the types and the rituals around it. What's the context? Often, with a lot of these elder people that are in great health and cognitively sharp, and they drink regularly, is that they're not binge drinking or using alcohol to cope. They might be drinking a glass with dinner as part of a slow, mindful meal with their family or friends. It's not just them, binging, going out, just being reckless. So it might not just be the drink, it's the whole lifestyle around the drink. And before we go any further, there's something that's very important that needs to be addressed. And I don't think it gets talked about enough. And that is the relationship between alcohol and fibroids, especially as it impacts Black women. Fibroids disproportionately affect Black girls and women. We are about 3 times more likely to develop them, often earlier and more severely than other groups. And the research, including data from the Black Women's Health Study, shows a positive association between alcohol consumption, especially beer, and higher fibroid risk in Black women. And the reasons that they're given for that It's because alcohol increases estrogen levels, it impairs how your liver processes hormones, and it promotes inflammation, which we already knew, creating an environment that may encourage fibroid growth and make symptoms like heavy, painful periods even worse. Now, this does not mean everyone with fibroids needs to completely give up alcohol, but it's a significant factor that you should consider, especially if you're part of, the community that's at a greater risk. Just a note that I want you all to consider as you figure out how you want to proceed with your alcohol consumption. So now let's be real about how alcohol shows up in our daily lives, because in our lives we have wine mom culture, you have church communion, you got happy hours, that drink after a hard day. Alcohol is used as a social tool, a coping mechanism, or just ritual. And it's not just biology, it's about behavior and belonging. And that's why it gets a little complicated, because the science is not always accounting for that emotional and social role that alcohol is playing in our lives. And it's not that the science just blanket ignores it. It's how we work with the science, just how we work with the information that we're given. So, because some people are going to say, I cut out alcohol and my anxiety went down dramatically. Another person's going to say one glass of wine in the evenings helps them to unwind and be present with their family. And, one is going to say, I realized that I was using drinks to cope with stress and that wasn't really serving me. So it's just knowing that there's no one size fits all experience. It's your body, your genetics, your life circumstances, and they all matter. They all play a role. So you have to take those things into consideration when you're taking in the science. So how are we going to navigate this? So let's try it using the real world, the real framework. Right for you. Does alcohol serve your physical and mental health? Does it align with your values and your health goals? Also keep in mind, you might not see the results, the consequences of your alcohol consumption right away. Yes, you might have I fell asleep quickly, but the next day I feel a little more anxious, or I don't feel as rested. But then there are the long-term consequences. Did it impair your cognition? You won't know. So those are the things that you kind of have to juggle when you're thinking about it. Number two, energizing. Do you actually feel better or worse after drinking? You got to be honest. What is it really? Be honest about the next day effects. Achievable. Can you moderate consistently, or does one drink often lead to more than you intended? You don't want to be that, I'm just going to have a glass. Maybe I have two. Okay, this is my last one. Just three. You want to make sure that you can moderate consistently. And then last thing, can your current relationship with alcohol be sustainable for your long-term health and well-being? What are your goals long-term? Is alcohol fitting into that? So real wellness means making choices that support your whole self, not just what feels good in the moment, good people, all right? Or what everyone else is doing. You can say, all right, y'all, I'm going to hang, but I ain't drinking. Or you don't even have to make the announcement. Just do you. They offer you a drink, now I'm good. Or take the drink. Take the drink and put it down, okay? Do what you got to do. So let's have a little reflection. We ain't going to judge here. This week, I want you to ask yourself, without judgment, just being real, do I drink because I want to or because I feel like I need to? How does it affect my sleep, my energy, my focus, and emotions? What role does it play in my culture, family, or my social life? And am I using it to cope with stress or emotions I could address in other ways? I just want you to consider experimenting. Maybe do a 30 days alcohol free to see how you feel, or just practicing more mindful drinking if you choose to continue. Because here's the bottom line. The research, it seems pretty clear, okay, about the risks, but your life is more complex than a research study. So what matters is that you're making informed choices that truly serve your health and happiness, not choices based on marketing, peer pressure, or old habits, all right? Whether that means you're going to cut back, you're going to cut out, or just being more mindful about when and why you drink, that is completely up to you. But you have all the information you need to make the right choice, okay? So if today's episode got you thinking, please share it with somebody who might benefit from this conversation. And remember, wellness is not about the perfection. It's not that. It's about making the choices that align with who you want to be. So, as always, until next time, happy healthin'. Peace.